leaders say they are pro-life, what about my life? And does my life not matter to you?
Liberalism emerged in the 17th and 18th centuries has since been a significant theory in international relations. Contrast to realism, which focuses on power politics and national interest. Liberalism was influenced by key thinkers including Immanuel Kant, John Locke, and Hugo Grotius. The core ideas of these thinkers lie around natural rights, social contracts, individual freedom, limited government, and economic freedom. Immanuel Kant further developed liberal ideas proposing that rational individuals could cooperate for peace through international institutions, laying the foundation for liberalism's emphasis on cooperation and democracy. Liberalists contribute the democratic peace theory in international relations, which argues that democratic states are most unlikely to have war with each other. Overall, liberalism principles provide an optimistic view in international relations. The strength of liberalism. After the Second World War, liberalism started to gain prominence in international relations. The establishment of the United Nations as an international organization to maintain peace and stability among nation states is one of the highlights of the emergence of liberal approach in international relations. Liberalism's strength also lies in its capacity to promote and protect a broad range of individual freedoms, such as freedom of speech and freedom of expression. However, despite its strength, liberalism, being a product of Western democracies, may struggle to offer universally applicable solutions. The liberal perspective appears to fall short of completely capturing all aspects of contemporary conflicts, such as the Israel-Palestine conflict. This is because the dispute goes beyond the liberal emphasis on democracy, human rights, and economic interdependence. Scholars and analysts often find it necessary to draw on additional theoretical views to provide a more thorough understanding of the conflicts and its underlying causes.
Believe it or not, before the 1960s, abortion was mainly a medical issue with limited public awareness. However, advances in medical procedures and the influence of liberal political theory emphasizing individual rights provided a foundation for the emerging pro-choice movement in the 1960s. Growing concepts of sovereignty over one's body led to a clash between the newer factions advocating for women's sovereignty over their own bodies, and the older conservative factions arguing against the perceived immorality and radicalization of abortion. The landmark Roe v. Wade Supreme Court decision in 1973 was a victory for the pro-choice movement, as it legalized abortion and protected women's rights, marking the success of the pro-choice advocacy. According to John Locke, a theorist, he emphasized natural rights and laws as fundamental human rights. However, Locke argued these rights come with moral duties individuals must adhere to. Locke's concept of tacit consent, where individuals voluntarily give their freedom to the government by living in a country, raises questions about individual autonomy and liberty. Locke's theory can be contradictory and complex when applied to issues like abortion, where individual rights, moral duties, and the rule of government intersect.
Liberalism views abortion as an exercise of individual freedoms and individual rights, particularly for women to choose whether to become a parent. The Roe v. Wade decision interpreted the right to privacy within the 14th Amendment as extending to a woman's right to have an abortion. This decision reflected a liberal approach prioritizing individual autonomy over government restrictions. However, after 50 years of regulating abortion laws in the United States, the Supreme Court has finally decided to overturn the Roe v. Wade law. The recent overturning of Roe v. Wade has been criticized by those who hold liberal views. They see it as a violation of a woman's rights to bodily autonomy and a restriction of individual freedom. In more conservative countries like Indonesia, abortion remains largely illegal, with only limited exceptions, despite efforts by liberal movements to expand access. In Germany, abortion access is also restricted, with strong opposition from the conservative and religious groups, limiting the full implementation of liberal principles around abortion rights.
Die deutsche Gesetzgebung zu Schwangerschaftsabbrüchen kriminalisieren Personen, die abtreiben wollen, und ÄrztInnen, die darüber informieren.
Liberalism, developed in the West, might not always translate perfectly to societies with different cultural and religious backgrounds. The concept of individual freedoms, central to liberalism regarding abortion rights, can be contested in this context.
Protecting individual liberties without fully considering broader societal context can negatively impact individual choice. Pragmatists emphasize how factors like poverty, healthcare access, and gender discrimination constrain women's ability to exercise rights, but liberalists often overlook this. Post-structuralists similarly stress the need to critically examine deeper societal processes and power structures that shape and constrain individual rights, rather than just focusing on individual choice. Communitarianism theory highlights how individual rights are linked to community, with obligations to protect the unborn fetus as part of the community. It also emphasizes preserving traditional norms, making it difficult to accept new moral views without collective agreement. To be more effective, liberalism needs to balance its emphasis on individual rights with consideration of real-world dynamics and broader social, economic, and political contexts shaping individual experiences and choices.